so good.
Yeah. Yeah, but the difficult thing is you're so emotionally immersed in your team during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I know this year is a little weird. It doesn't hurt as bad,
Yeah.
but it's just emotionally deflating after your team gets knocked out.
I love Stanley Cup, but Tampa Bay, Islanders, Philly, I'm not going to watch maybe a little of it.
I guess my sentimental choice right now is the Islanders.
Yeah.
And I guess if you want to...
John Feinstein, my old Dookie, the great writer, is a huge Islanders guy for whatever reason.
Their head coach, if you remember the Capitals, the drunken Capitals, after they won the Cup, there was no team that ever had more fun winning a championship. But
of course, not good enough
Barry
to keep the coach around.
Barry Trotz's contract was up.
Right.
Barry Trotz, I would say, unarguably, is the best coach in hockey.
Really?
And kind of looks like Boris Badenov from Rocky and His Friends.
Maybe my favorite TV show ever, maybe.
Yeah, great cartoon. They did not give him...
Right. Or weren't they going to... They didn't fire him, but said, a raise, why would you give you a raise?
Yep.
No raise, right?
Right. So he said, fine. So the New York Islanders, who had been in the dumps for years, so
they grabbed him.
He comes in and installs a defensive-minded approach to the game, and here they are, close to getting into the Eastern Conference Finals.
Hey, didn't the Isles, didn't they go back to Uniondale?
They did. They
supposedly Brooke, is it the Aura? Not the Oracle.
No, it's a...
But it's mostly just sounded like a good basketball arena.
Barclays Center.
Barclays Center.
Yeah.
But not a good hockey place.
It was not a good place to watch hockey because it was built for basketball.
Right. In fact, the ACC tourney, they've had one or two of their tourneys there already.
Yeah. And I remember they used to have a car in the end zone. Behind the net, It just was not a good place to watch hockey.
And they clearly renovated because Uniondale.
Yeah, they did renovate.
Whatever that arena was. Talk about an old arena. So they're back on the island.
Yeah, and I don't know, Duke. That's a good question. If they are in fact on the verge of building a new arena on the island,
they threw in a fair amount.
About 150, I think, is what they threw into it.
So anyway, hockey goes on, but it's not. I love Stanley Cup, but I guess maybe certainly the final series, but I should give it some attention.
Yeah.
But
Duke,
the Bruins hurts.
September 2nd. If this was a normal year, hockey a training camp opens up next Monday.
Right, with real games in like a month and a half or so.
Yeah. Oh, right. Real games would be literally a month from. About 5 weeks from now.
Okay.
That's how quick. Because they practice for a few days, then they have like 8 exhibition games, and they're right into it.
But I can't believe, Hawk. Is this nailed down that the next season doesn't start till December?
That's correct.
I can't. 82 games sounds insane if they're going to do that.
Right. I agree.
Shorten it and get back to their regular schedule, hopefully.
Yeah. I think they don't want to say anything at this point, depending on the COVID and this, that, and the other thing. So, the other side here, winter sports here in September, is the Boston Celtics.
Thank you, Celtics. That's all I've got left here.
Yep. And I thought this series would go 6, maybe 7 games. Toronto is, of course, the defending champ,
albeit without
Kawhi Leonard. But
now with
the Raptors played really well last night. It was an excellent ball game.
I just caught the end of it,
and we beat them. We mentioned
the last couple minutes for some weird calls, some weird plays there.
Exactly what I thought would happen is happening with the absence of Gordon Hayward. It's Brown, Tatum, Smart.
Marcus came up big in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, five 3-pointers in a row.
16 points all in the fourth quarter.
They're picking up his point. But the Celtics, they're a team. I know that sounds an oversimplification, but these guys are unselfish. They play really good team defense, and Jason Tatum is turned into a pretty good defender. Now, of course, he played high school, went to Duke 1 year, where the rap on him, like any freshman, is didn't play defense. Well, if you're one and done in college, you're really not there to impress the NBA with your defense.
Yeah.
And Tatum was what, the second, third pick in the draft?
Second of course.
Pick.
Celtics,
Fultz, was Fultz, Marcus Fultz.
Danny Ainge says, we're not unhappy with the second pick.
But
he would have taken Tatum obviously if he had had the first pick.
So
that was
just very enjoyable to watch, and I absolutely love Marcus Smart.
He's kind of, to me, he's as a Boston sports guy, he's kind of the Dustin Pedroia of the Celtics. He will kill. He'll go all out all the time. Sometimes to his detriment, but no, you got to like Marcus. I caught his post-game interview last night. He's a pretty. I don't hear him too much. Pretty well-spoken guy, but Marcus definitely came up very big for the Green guys. Now I think some of the national. I was hearing somebody today pretty much buying into the Celtics. Yeah, the Celtics have a shot at this thing. I love this.
Well, Gordon Hayward, Duke's supposed to be back in about 3.5 weeks, which will be the finals. Which even though
be unhappy to have him back.
No, absolutely not.
Doing just fine.
No, because chances are it's going to be a Celtics Lakers in the finals.
Yeah, I heard this. I was listening. Doug Gottlieb was, I think, covering for Colin Cowherd today on Fox Sports Radio, and he's got his own show. But I guess a lot more listenership for Cowherd, so they have other people covering him later. But again, he got into the old friend Kyrie thing, and Doug's very good. He was actually a decent college basketball player.
Oh, really?
At, I think Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State maybe. But anyway, he's talking about Kyrie, how great Kyrie is. You know how down I am on Kyrie. And I think you have said before, best closer ever. I almost think that gets hyped up, but that's maybe my dislike of him.
Right,
but a very talented guy. But what a pain.
Yep.
Anyway, so Gottlieb's talking about Kyrie, but talking about how the Celtics are doing well and how Kemba's doing well, and he's got a guest, Ben somebody I didn't know, but a guy who knew his basketball. But you'll go crazy when you hear the question that Gottlieb seriously posed, saying, boy, Kyrie's obviously the more talented player, but something like this. Boy, could you make the case, Ben, that the Celtics are doing better with a point guard, obviously not as good, Kemba Walker, but a better chemistry? And I love Ben said, yeah, Doug, that's patently obvious that's the case.
Right.
And sorry, Kyrie, drives me crazy.
Basketball is a team sport, okay? And I remember back in the day with Bird and Parrish, McHale, but Robert Parrish, all 7 feet of him, out of Centenary,
I believe.
I think in San Francisco. Is that where the school is?
Boy, I think so.
Or near,
don't hold that. I think so.
I remember Larry Bird always made the point, when you got the big man running down the court, you pass the ball to him to let him get the layup, because you never want to discourage the big man from running.
The chief was great. Double zero, right? For someone who doesn't know his numbers.
But Kyrie Irving, if I was putting money one-on-one in playground basketball, I might put it on him. Skill-wise, there's very few people in this world better than Kyrie.
Of course, another former one-and-done Dookie.
But he is more concerned about his own stats than the victories. Now, good luck to Brooklyn next year, because they have Kevin Durant, who signed last year and, of course, was injured this year.
And maybe that's the saving grace. Maybe if there's an obvious bigger name, bigger star, maybe Kyrie, maybe that's better for him. But no, Kyrie drives me. I was as you were, so happy when the Celtics, great move, dude.
They said the Celtics locker room was in complete disarray.
Right, he was on Jason Tatum, because Tatum went nowhere in his second, kind of went sideways maybe.
Yes.
And that was, I think, a number of people blame that on Kyrie. And believe me, and just what I'm spouting about Kyrie, there were definitely probably a bunch of columns in the Boston papers when Kyrie left to go to the Nets saying, hey, Nets, be careful what you wish for. Good luck down the road.
And he played
I don't mean to wish him ill, but I was so happy to see him leave.
He played a handful of games with the Nets, and guess what? Injured again. This guy is an injury-prone machine.
Yeah.
So, no.
So you're feeling again, so I can give you a stat. You might have seen it. I think it was they flashed it up on TV at some point. But can you give me the stat for a team leading a best-of-7 series 2-0? What are the chances that team wins?
80%.
That's probably what I would have guessed. How about 93?
It is 93. Wow.
Thought.
Yeah. Okay.
So Celtic, I'm certainly not saying they'll definitely win, but they obviously have the upper hand.
Yeah, and there's no home court advantage.
Right.
I mean, Toronto was the home team the first 2 games.
Yeah,
well,
nothing.
They're in Vegas playing before about 12 people.
Yeah.
So
nothing. So and again, it's every other game. So game 3 tomorrow night.
Celtics tomorrow night, 6:30.
In fact, I may sneak to my car from camp where I have no radio, but I've got Sirius XM. So in fact, I may be able to pick that up.
TNT Thursday night and Saturday night. Another 6:30 game also on TNT. So and lastly, the center Daniel Tice.
Boy, big 15 bounds. What was that last game?
He works so hard, and he's only, 6'8", 6'9"?
Is that right?
He's not very big, but he works hard. Wow. And Robert Williams is...
Boy, it sounds like he's showing some life.
Yeah,
huh?
He's an athlete, and of course... He was drafted by the Celtics last year, and I'm trying to remember what school he went to.
Geez, I should.
It escapes me. But he was going to be a lottery pick. He was that skilled. But he, to put it mildly, had...
How about LSU, maybe? Might be wrong. Sorry, my mind's so shaky.
He was immature, okay? Not a bad person.
Yeah.
And, of course, he's got the nickname of...
Didn't he miss early on? He missed... a flight or something, or he did something
right. He missed
early on.
Well, one of the things he missed was his introductory press conference. Overslept it,
right.
And they were called. He might have missed a flight and one other thing, and he got the nickname Time Lord.
Is that right?
That's where they got that from. He slid out of the lottery, and I'm watching the draft, and I'm saying, I know this kid. I know he's highly skilled. I know he's had some issues. But from where the Celtics were picking, and I'm trying to remember if it's around 20th or something like that, I said, fall into daddy's lap. Come on. And lo and behold, and he was injured quite a bit of last season. And, missed some time this year. But
so
you
kind
can
of
see,
center by committee at this point, and they seem to be getting
and Cantor,
Cantor's
who's not a great defender, but a really good offensive center. Great pair of hands. He's the odd man out with...
Boy, Mr. Cantor, it's funny. I read Ian today. He's interested in the country Turkey. I think Mr. Cantor, who's Turkish, I think is not welcome. I think if he flies into Istanbul, I think he's hauled off to jail right away.
Right. If Enes Cantor goes back to his home country...
Mr. Erdogan, not a big fan of Mr. Cantor, I don't think.
I would put money that Cantor would not live more than 2 hours in the country of Turkey.
Turkey's a tough place. It's an interesting country, too. Yeah, Ian and Jennifer have logged time in Turkey. I've never been there.
Yeah. So
anyway, the Celts, if you're a Boston sports fan, and I'm sure we'll touch on the Red Sox later on. Well, of course, the Pats are lurking out there, too, but boy.
Yeah.
So now, go Celts. Go green.
The Milwaukee Bucks, that a lot of folks are thinking that could be the Eastern
Conference. Game 2 now as we speak, right? Bucks, Miami.
6:30, you got it.
Yeah.
Miami's got a very...
Miami won the first game.
They're up 1-0, and that's a good team to watch as well.
I think some of the big money has flipped over to Miami now, hasn't it?
A lot of folks think the Heat could put some heat on the Bucks. And their coach, Eric help me with this.
Spoelstra?
Yeah, is a highly respected, probably a top 3 coach in the NBA. So, listen, I know it's a weird year this year, but I'm grateful we have something.
Yeah, I guess for all the like I said baseball shouldn't have done it. It looks like they're going to get away with it, but I guess kudos to basketball and hockey and pro football at this point for doing, I guess, a pretty good job keeping the virus pretty close to a non-issue. I guess. Huh?
Yeah. And, as far as football, and generally we talk a lot about football this time of year, but there simply is not much to talk about with no preseason. Cam Newton has showed well with the Pats, so they're excited for the season to get started here in a week and a half with him. Now, Leonard Fournette was released a couple days ago
by Jacksonville,
by the Jags, and God bless the Jags. They
so
know.
Is this a question that just didn't want to pay?
No. He is just a very unnice human being.
Okay.
People hate Leonard Fournette.
Not his ability. I mean, the guy.
He's okay, but they say his heart's not into it.
Is
he
that right?
could put a better effort. Now, the Patriots, being kind at best, have an average running back core. They express some interest in him. I think Fournette with Belichick would be a great landing spot.
Right. I thought I did see another story that they hadn't expressed any interest.
Well, today they did, and it certainly, and I can't recall where I read that, but it would not surprise me if.
But if any team might make sense to take a chance on him, it's probably the Pats and Belichick.
Who the Patriots have? Damian Harris, Sonny Michel,
Rex
Burkhead.
I'd say, and James White, who doesn't run as a better pass catcher,
third down running back.
I would say that's certainly no worse than average.
Right. It's certainly, he's better than anybody they have right now.
Yeah. Although Damian Harris, again, we're talking intra-squad stuff, supposedly has looked okay, but for what that's worth.
Right. You and I would look good in the inner squad. So, and the New York Giants, they signed former Patriot, played with the Titans the last couple of years, Logan Ryan.
Oh, is that right? It sounds like not a bad pickup.
They got him 1 year, 7.5. He was looking for during the offseason, 3 year, $30 million contract. He's of 29 years of age.
You surprised he didn't get it or not? He's a pretty
good player, but
player.
The biggest stat is his age.
Yeah,
when you're close to 30, you're going to fall off the cliff.
Yeah, but that sounds like a good pickup for your guys.
And they asked the coach where he was going to play, and he's was a cornerback, but he said at this juncture of his career, he's better suited with his old age to play safety, and I'm sure he would do a very competent job. But they probably will have Julian Love play because they lost their starter Xavier McKinney with a broken foot. So, and the Giants are just a difficult team to read. Brand new coach. It certainly would have been nice to have some preseason games. I guess it would be better for me to predict next week how many wins they're going to have, and I'll save it till next week. Not that makes any difference.
Can I give you a little hit of your Giants from the Sunday Boston Globe?
Sure.
And this is Ben Volin's long column. New York, drama for Jets, Giants, Bills. The last few weeks of training camp have been weird for the three New York teams. Okay, the Jets, Giants, are technically in New Jersey. For the Giants, new coach Joe Judge seems to be making a new headline each day with unusual tactics. This past week, he had players practicing with tennis balls taped to their hands to teach them not to hold. Judge, the former Patriots special teams coach, also said he wants second-year quarterback Daniel Jones to practice without a red, non-contact jersey, so he gets used to taking a hit before the season opener. The idea makes sense, but is risky and unusual for the NFL. Quoting the coach, I have the strength staff downstairs right now putting bars of soap in socks, and we're just going to take him out back and just wail on him for a while, Judge cracked. I don't think we're going to throw him into any Royal Rumbles or anything like that. We'll pop his pads a little bit in a controlled environment. End of Giants stuff.
Yeah,
So, Joe, you're happy with you like what you see from Joe Judge?
He's old school, okay?
That's
and
fine
he's
with
gotten
you.
a lot of criticism about taking the red jersey off from Jones.
Yeah,
are you nuts?
I'm sure the New York papers have played
the internet. There's been a lot of anti-Joe Judge. Now, yesterday he was doing had a big water hose football and just saturated the ground to get a wet football, and even Judge went in there to dive after the ball. And again, I don't have anything better analogy other than he's an old school football coach, and he has expectations from his players, and I think everybody's on thin ice with that team. You've got to commit yourself. You're making good money.
Yeah.
Now Daniel Jones.
I'm sure he's very sorry Mr. Beckham's not a part of his team. Huh? God, what a that would have been pretty grim.
Right, and you look at with the Giants got Kevin Zeitler, the right guard, who's their best lineman, and they got the first-round pick from Cleveland, who's Dexter Lawrence, that I would say after this season will be their best defensive lineman they have in a future Hall Pro player. But Daniel Jones, I'm excited about. He's put 9 pounds of muscle on this offseason. Studious. Okay,
the big knock was he just has to get a better sense of when he's about to get nailed, and hopefully
generally
his offensive line
I would
will
say
be better.
Like poo. However, his tenure at Duke University, he had fumbleitis down there as well.
I don't remember. Is that right? I don't particularly remember that.
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, well, how is this a 1 year thing? I went back. But as you mentioned,
that seems to be the big issue.
A better offensive line, a better mental clock in his head.
He obviously, if we're talking about this, obviously he's too well aware that's a huge issue.
And what I like, and for me, a quarterback's practice session is more important in an office studying than out in the field. I mean, he's got the nickname, and aptly so, Danny Dimes. This guy can throw the football. But this guy, I think, and I'm not just saying it because I'm a Giant fan, I think he's a near genius football player. I've got high. Now, I'm not going to give you a Nighthawk guarantee that Daniel Jones, because you've seen quarterbacks, play a couple good seasons and.
Weren't there some of the announcers, weren't there some of the media or maybe other folks thinking he maybe should have run a little more last year, especially when he's back in the pocket and doesn't see anybody, instead of waiting a little too long, take off. But obviously you don't want your quarterback probably running too much.
That's one of those damned if I do, damned if I don't. If he's running, then people are, what in the heck's he doing running? That's their franchise.
No, you put it well.
Right. But he is 6'5". He is a very good athlete.
And he does run.
He does run
very well.
And when they beat Tampa, his first start,
you were there.
I was there for that game. The winning touchdown, the ball, I don't remember, on the 8-yard line.
I would have said 10, somewhere 8, 9, 10.
He went back. Everybody was covered, and without hesitation,
bolted into the end zone.
That's a good word. Bolted in the end zone, unscathed, and the Giants won the football game.
So well, I know how much you love football. You're pretty psyched about the Giants. Certainly psyched about football.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
sounds realistic.
I've been hedging between 3 wins or 7 wins, and I'm going to say my cup is half full. I've got to believe
you might give him as few as 3.
Right,
huh?
I'm going to go right now 7-9 for the Giants.
But that you think is best case scenario?
I do. And you got to consider, Duke. They were 4-12 last year, and the worst team in the NFL. And I always like to look at numbers collectively, not just take a Polaroid of 1 year. The last 3 years in the NFL. Who's been the worst football team? New York Football Giants.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The last how many years?
3 years.
Really?
Yeah. I think they've won. I think they're 12-36 in the last 3 years. They're terrible, and that was due to the fact that their prior general manager just did a horrid job of drafting people. And I can remember when OBJ was drafted. I'm watching the draft, and all the marquee players were named, and I'm looking through my draft sheet, and I'm saying to myself, well, this isn't a very sexy pick, but I like that defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. Okay. Basically unheard guy of Aaron Donald. Okay. Who's now been twice named the defensive player of the year.
Really?
He's a sure Hall of Famer. He might be the best football player, period.
Really?
Okay. Now, I know it's hard to compare a defensive tackle with a quarterback, but when you're taking how much better are you than the next guy, I think Aaron Donald is the best football player in football. And I know most people say Aaron who, but this guy is a beast.
So my Pats, you're just giving, you pretty much think Pats are a 500
I've got him
team?
500 right now. And again, it's not due to the Tom Brady story. It's the opt-out story.
So just to be clear, if Brady was still on the team, you'd still be around 500 if Brady was the QB?
No. I mean, I certainly hold Tom Brady in much higher
Brady
regard
was
than
on, what would you... You're thinking 10, 11, 12?
I would give them 10, possibly 11.
10,
now, keep in mind, they went 12-4 last year, and people were, still thinking they had a horrible season
Well,
last
I'd
year.
be the first to say Brady didn't hardly, and I realize you can put some of that obviously on the offensive line, but Brady, just didn't look great a lot of times.
And he had no receivers, and this N'Keal Harry looks like a first-round bust.
Although it seems like I'm hearing mixed things out of training.
I'm reading it's just not good.
I'll give him a second year, though.
Mohamed Sanu, that used to be a pretty good receiver for the Bengals.
They gave up a second. I heard some of the folks talking about that today.
There's talk he may not even make the 53-man roster.
Pick,
and Belichick has done poor drafting over the last few years.
He's hardly been a master at drafting.
Especially his second-round picks have not been good. But keep in mind, Duke, 4 o'clock on Saturday is the cut down. You go from 80 down to 53. So that's 27 players multiplied by 30 teams.
Wow.
So you're going to have over 700 unemployed players at that time. And that's where one man's garbage is another man's treasure, where you got a bad team like the New York Giants say we need this type play. Well, they might be a team that's
interesting. So Saturday, 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so there'll be plenty to talk about next week for football.
Yeah.
But it sounds like on the coronavirus front, just about nothing. I mean, they've really kept a pretty good lid on this, huh?
Now, the interesting thing, and you went through the list of all 30 teams, like the Giants, Jets, nobody allowed. The Cowboys are allowing people. Now,
Kansas City, 22% or something?
I'm reading, is that unfair balance to these other teams that are able to have fans? I can't tell you how much fans mean to.
I guess that wouldn't be a big issue. Hey, if the
yeah.
I guess I'm not going to criticize.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I'd like to think people will keep their distance. I mean, you'd think if they're going to let fans in, they'll be pretty clear about
absolutely.
seats. So.
Yeah.
I don't have a
it's going to be a weird season like everything else.
Yeah.
And again, I'm simply living my life. I'd rather have a piece of pie than not getting any pie at all.
Yeah.
Yes, would I like the whole pie for myself? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what we're getting right now. And I might as well.
We're talking a week from tomorrow night for
you are correct, sir.
Kansas City and Kansas defending champs and somebody, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
But a week from tomorrow night, with everybody else playing a week from Sunday.
Yeah. Now, speaking of football, I definitely want to get to the absurd here. And I will preface this by saying when I talked to you the other day on the golf course, you had the best answer that anyone possibly could have is why? And I'm talking high school football.
Jeez, why? Okay. Why bother?
Right. I mean, there was no discussion on the course with you other than why. Yeah. So high school football, and indulge with me here. Facial coverings are required for players, coaches, officials, staff, and spectators, okay? The 9-game season will begin on September 26. Why? Provided the state has moved to step 3 and will conclude on the weekend of October 23, 24. Instead of a separate lineman game, which they had proposed, meaning you and I are the great athletes too. Yeah. So we're going to be on the big field. Then we got our big boys and 250-pound kids that are linemen. Well, they were going to put them on the side field and let them have their own two-hand touch game. Well, they're not doing that. The lineman group will play the first and third quarters. The backs and receivers will enter the second and third quarters. Of note, defensive players in the third and fourth quarters who are also offensive linemen can play offense in the first and second quarters. And quarterbacks during first and third quarters can be a traditional quarterback, but teams are not limited to that. Helmets will be the only protective gear for practices and games. Yeah. Receivers are encouraged to wear gloves and mouth guards. So the key rules, Duke, and keep in mind, this is not traditional football. This is 7-on-7. Game duration, 4 15-minute quarters with a running clock. So if you were
a running clock.
Right, so bored to go to Collins Pearly or go to the Thunderdome up at Missisquoi, it's going to be a very quick game. Time will start after the opening kickoff of each half or when the ball is snapped from the 30-yard line. All offensive plays must be passes. Okay, it's not football. Lateral passes are allowed after a completed catch. Teams are allowed to kick off in each half after a score, but there is no return.
No return.
This is for development for kickers. This isn't football. Each drive will start at the offensive team's own 30-yard line. Field goal attempts and point afters attempts are allowed, but the defense cannot rush or return a block kick. Wow. So you got a kicker that has all the time in the world to kick because you can't rush them. Okay, that's not football. A missed try on the field goal is a dead ball, and the opposing team assumes possession at the point of the kick. The quarterback, Duke, is allowed 4 seconds to throw the ball. The penalty for this infraction is a loss of down. The center is not an eligible receiver. No blocking or tackling penalties will be enforced. A ball carrier or receiver is down when touched by one or both hands. Incidental contact by the defender doesn't constitute a touch. The defender must actively touch the receiver. So my question, too, when I read this, well, if you're going to play two-hand touch that old people like us would play, plus with a keg of beer on the side, why don't they play flag football? Okay?
Which is what I think I did freshman year at Duke. I think we played flag football.
Yeah. Fumbles are dead balls at the spot with the last team retaining possession. A must snap is not a fumble. Interceptions are live and may be returned. Touchdowns count for 6 points, point after, 1 point from the 3-yard line, 2 points from the 10-yard line. Safeties are 2 points in possession of the ball at the 30-yard line. So, again, I call this Vermont high school football your slap and tickle league. I'm 62, and I've been going to football games on a regular basis for 55 years. Wow. And perhaps out of curiosity, I may attend one game just out of curiosity. Yeah. But why? Now,
it seems like why bother?
I feel so bad for these football players, and very simply, 99% of them will never strap on a helmet the rest of the life. You played high school ball, I presume, or did you have your leg injury?
High school golf and high school baseball when you...
Right. But you know what, Duke? After high school and college, you're 70 years old, you're still golfing. Yeah. You and I played
still playing tennis.
Softball. We played together in the same league for a number of years.
Don't you feel you could still play a softball game now?
Well, with glasses on, I mean, I'm probably 50 pounds heavier than I was last time I played softball.
I feel I could absolutely go out and play.
I still could go shag balls. I mean, there's going to be a number of balls that
are...
still playing. But you also played Eansburg League as well, meaning after high school, you still have an avenue to play. Okay, if you played hockey, and say for whatever reason that was canceled, there are adult leagues all over the place. You still have a chance. There is no avenue to play football. You're done. You're 17 years old. Your life as a football player is over. And I feel horrible. And plus, I like going to football games anyways. I like getting out in that nice, crisp autumn air.
Good memories of going to some BFA games.
Yeah. And like I said,
Duke game. I love it when I get down to see the Dukies.
With the advent of the football program at Missisquoi, I've been going to their games. I think I've missed one game in the years that they've been there.
And NVU will be doing. I mean, they're
playing the 7-on-7. And BFA's got a great facility, Collins Pearly. You're up in the stands. But at Missisquoi, I've got my gravity-free chair, lounge chair, and I sit down around the 20-yard line, and I'm maybe 30, 40 feet from the side. And I'm sitting there, Duke, just lounging, watching football, and my wife actually came with me once, and I've got my Washington Nationals bag, and I'll go there, and I'll put my diet Mountain Dew. You can tell that diet is working.
Yeah.
And I'll just drink my diet Mountain Dew. And I've told you the story once, 2-3 years ago. I always get there early before the game. I like to get the feel of it. And the referee came over to me, and I'm going to myself, stupid me. Well, how nice is this? Good old Vermont. The referee's actually coming over to say, "Hi, fan. How are you? Nice day for football, isn't it?" He goes to me, "I want to see that bag." "Huh? What? What are you talking?"
So what are
What's
you
in that
drinking?
bag?
Really?
I said, "Diet Mountain Dew." He goes, "Open it up. I want to see it."
I'm sorry, this was at
an MVU football game before the game.
A deputy sheriff?
No, the referee.
No, it's the referee.
He wanted me to open the bag to make sure I had no Frosties.
That's right, the referee.
Yeah.
Which, of course, brings me back to my one arrest on Cape Cod for sleeping on the beach when the cop pulled out a gun on us. "Stop or I'll shoot." We stopped. And the beautiful cliffs at Truro, Eastham, beautiful part of the world. But we had our encampment down on the beach. I'm sure I mentioned this many times. Took us down there. And high school kids, right? Fully expecting, couldn't wait to open our cooler and find beer and really nail us. Opened the cooler and found some milk, maybe Mountain Dew, Coke, whatever.
Yeah.
He was visibly disappointed.
Yeah.
Still did get arrested.
Yeah. Did that
But I put that on my record. I don't think I usually put that on my record. I pleaded no contest. The judge the next day, and funny, my parents didn't even get on my case because they freaked out because we started that weekend at the Newport Folk Festival, Newport,
in Rhode Island. Yep.
And my folks were convinced we would
give
run
me a
into
year
some
on
issues
this.
there. Well, high school, probably 67, 66.
Because I think that's where Bob Dylan.
No, Dylan, when he went to electronic.
Right. He came out with the electric guitar, I think it was 65.
Could be the
and
fans
people
freaked.
were booing him.
We didn't. Yeah, we weren't there for Dylan. Anyway, but the folks were freaked that they just had a bad feeling about Newport. We spent one night there, weren't having a good time. Let's go to the Cape. So ironically, I think the folks were so happy when I got home after being arrested and mugshotted and stuff that I didn't run into problems at Newport. And anyway, we went down to Harwichport, I think, District Court that the following Monday, the next day. We got home Sunday, and the judge, an elderly judge, and this cop was just back from Vietnam. He was a pretty hardcore guy, and good for him. I'm glad he made it back. Anyway, the judge was less than impressed with.
So, what was the reason for arrest?
Sleeping on the beach. We broke the Wellfleet Town Ordinance,
and they took the time and effort to prosecute.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. We had to find a bail bondsman, I think,
wow,
just to get out of there. But the judge was not real impressed, and I think we got maybe a $10 fine.
Okay,
and the cop was not happy when we paid our $10. Say, see ya. Anyway, sorry to get up.
So I was concluding my
one
story.
arrest to date. Hopefully that'll be my one.
My wife went to one game with me, so I had my Washington National bag, and I might have brought a coffee.
So the ref comes over.
Yeah. So that was about 3 years ago. So last year, I'm sitting there drinking my coffee or my Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah. My wife goes into my Nats bag, like it's a leather cooler type thing, nice bag, and she hands me something in aluminum foil. I unwrap it, Duke. She had made me 2 breakfast burritos. So here I am eating a breakfast burrito, watching football.
So and
I looked up at the skies and I talked to God and I said, God, seriously, does life get any better than this?
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, again, you're the big football guy, but geez, it hardly seems like it's worth it. I guess they felt it was worth it just so the players could have some feeling for a team thing.
Well, Mr. Duke,
I guess there's something to that, but
if I'm 240 pounds,
it just seems like it's hardly worth it.
16, 17 years old, with a lot of hormones.
Yeah,
I want to hit somebody.
Yeah,
I want to hit them, and I want to hit them hard.
Yeah,
it's not football anymore. Yeah. Like I said, it's slap and tickle. That's what the league is.
Well, I'm sure you'll be impressed with this headline. I get the Sunday Free Press again. I got it cheap enough. This is from the sports section. VPA, Vermont Principals Association. I know how high you are on those guys. Tell schools to ditch offensive mascots. And the official, and again, I don't get into this.
Duke, I read the whole thing. I looked at every school, and I could not find one thing offensive.
I think the Rutland Raiders, the reference in the story by Austin Danforth and Alex Abrami. I'll go back a little bit. A conversation, has already started at Rutland High School. Supporters began preparing last month to petition the school on removing Raiders. A reference to Native Americans as the school's moniker, according to the Rutland Herald. Jay Nichols, Jay's a local Franklin County guy. He's also head of the
Duke,
the VPA's executive director. Nichols said the VPA's statement, which I'll read in a sec, comes in light of the national movement to support people of color who have been historically marginalized. You probably want me to stop there.
Well, I think the Rutland is called the Raiders. They used to be the Red Raiders, and they dropped the Red.
So they dropped the Red.
Now, the obvious question to you, Duke, is the fall of 1970, St. Albans City Elementary opened up.
Yeah.
The Nighthawk.
Actually, when MVU opened up as well, I think.
The Nighthawk was just a little fella.
Yeah.
I was in the 7th grade. They had a election where the 7th and 8th grader.
Name the mascot.
What is
nickname?
St. Albans' nickname? And God bless the junior high. The two finalists were the St. Albans Raiders and the St. Albans Maple Leafs.
Oh, is that right?
Great. Right? Fits in perfectly. Well, if you remember,
Albans Raid, as I recall, was a fairly famous event around
right, the St. Albans Raid. And I said to myself, holy macro, what a more apropos nickname that, you know me, I love sport nicknames because a lot of them don't make any sense. St. Albans Raiders, are you freaking kidding me? Perfect. Now, are you telling me that the St. Albans Raiders, the elementary school, is bad?
I guess that's an issue.
Right. But I did read that, and I looked at all the nicknames throughout the state, and I didn't see anything.
The state, I might as well read the official statement from the VPA. Any mascot, nickname, symbol, or logo that has marginalizing, racist, or exclusionary elements should be replaced to demonstrate what it means to be an inclusive, welcoming, and strong community. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that, but I do think they kind of go a little overboard at times.
Yeah. Like Missisquoi, the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
The Indian heritage
that has.
I've never heard anything there,
right.
But that's.
I love Duke. I love Blue Devils. I'm hoping somebody doesn't dig.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I think it goes back to. I've read the origin, which I'm hazy on. I think it's a World War II reference. I'm tempted to say maybe like a French fighting force. Where's my friend Roy? I'm sure he could set me straight.
I'll tell you what. That's your homework for next week.
I'm going to see Roy Tuesday, having dinner with him, and I'll try to remember to ask him.
I've been meaning to ask you, when the heck's a Blue Devil?
You know, like I said, my vague memory is that maybe some WW2 reference to Frank, but I may be totally wrong, so I can't tell you. But I'm happy to report I'm not aware it's come under any fire.
Yeah, crazy.
Meanwhile, I guess the Blue Devils, the ACC apparently is hanging with football. I guess SEC, obviously is, but again, I think there are a lot of people who are
can I ask you?
Say, hey, pro football, no problem. College football, insane. I realize you don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way.
Here's the headline in the Wall Street
Journal. But let me
Journal.
ask you this before you read that.
Yeah.
What does ACC is going to have football schedule? The SEC, which is football is more important than God to them down there.
To some of those schools,
they're playing football. So, how does the Big Ten come up with a conclusion? Oh no, we're not playing football.
Well, I guess my answer is because I think there are a lot of issues with that many players, moving them around, all the logistics involved. I think it's a legit issue. Here's the headline Monday in the Wall Street Journal, which shows a good sports page every day. High schools can play, Ohio State can't. Want me to start and read?
Well, go ahead. That's my question.
Yeah, by Andrew Beaton and Louise, looks like Radnowski.
What paper is this?
Wall Street Journal. It has a good sports section every day. High schools can play football in Ohio. 2 NFL teams are gearing up to play. Even the University of Cincinnati, but the Bearcats can play. But Ohio State, the team around which the state revolves, cannot play fall football. It's a contradiction in the response to the novel coronavirus, and few officials in the state are saying who's right or wrong. And we've got a quote. No, not a quote. The game is the same at all levels. There's blocking and tackling. In social distancing terms, those are about as bad as a hug, and hugs are pretty bad. This one state unmasks the inconsistencies that have emerged trying to reconcile something immensely popular, football, with something else that's deeply polarizing, how schools should be operating during a pandemic. I guess I'll stop there.
Yeah.
I just think there's way more concern. I read part of Shaughnessy's column last week. He thinks it's insane for colleges to play. And of course, some of the colleges, they've, not made themselves look good in the ACC. The UNC chancellor president was quoted months ago saying, hey, if the students can't come back on campus, no football. Well, guess what UNC did when they had a bunch of cases right at almost the start of the school year? Students go away, stay away. So some of the presidents have absolutely been contradictory about
Well,
this.
let me ask you a question, serious question. What's more dangerous? Okay, we'll use your alma mater, Duke. So what's more dangerous? Duke football player playing football with tons of poundage of equipment on him versus Duke University basketball, where they're essentially running around in their underwear, going out for rebounds, skin rubbing against each other. Me thinks, again, not a doctor, I think if you want to play this COVID game, that basketball would be more risky than football.
That
and
doesn't sound
promise
crazy.
you, Duke University will never stop playing basketball.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but I think you're making not a bad point.
Yeah,
I've heard very little talk about. I've heard no talk about college basketball so far.
Yeah,
but obviously all the athletes are at all the colleges, I guess.
Yeah. Now for hockey in Vermont College. I haven't heard nor read anything, but if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to tell you that the college hockey season will not, if things go well, will not start until after the first of the year.
So at least they'll delay it probably. Yeah. But you're not really hearing anything about that.
No. And, right before the show, I was supposed to head, I'm hoping, to Italy in December. And Duke goes to me, Hawk, I'm giving you at best a 1 in 5 chance.
That's bad. I mean, would you wouldn't give yourself any more than that, or would you?
Well, I didn't know, and that's why I asked you that serious question.
Right, but I mean, right now, from what you know, would you give yourself more than that? You wouldn't give yourself 50.
Well, Europe is shut down, right? I couldn't go to Europe if I wanted.
We can't fly to Europe. I've got a good friend, my buddy Alex's sister, has gotten into a prestigious university. She's going to Bristol University, Bristol, England, and has a ticket. She's flying out of here October 3rd, I think, but she'll quarantine when she gets here, which is, I guess, why she can fly to presumably London.
Well, let me ask you this: if I wanted to fly to London tomorrow, could I?
Well, I don't think you could. I think she can because she's going to the university, and she'll do what she has to do, quarantine, and presumably take a test before she can walk in. I don't think we're welcome to fly to Europe. I don't think we can.
But all I can tell you, Duke, with this unusual year, I've got into reading more, and I'm reading a great book about Norman Rockwell.
Really?
And it's not so much about Norman Rockwell, it's about his neighbor and his connection with they were neighbors, and basically they walked to the neighbor's house, the neighbors walked into Norman's house, and how the kids were models for numerous illustrations that he did.
Right. I mean, just neighbor kids he knew.
It was just, wow. It was. I had no idea what this book was really about. Yeah. So the kids talked about his upbringing back in the Depression, early 30s. Yeah. And there were, I think, 4 or 5 kids. They get a big wash tub, heat up the water for their weekly bath. And the oldest kids got to get the clean bath water, and then would just keep putting heated water into the old wash tub. But it was just great Americana. So, but I'm enjoying that. But
there's a great museum, Norman Rockwell Museum. I think is Bennington area, and I've never, or maybe in Western Mass, either in the Berkshires, but somewhere not wicked far. Well, I've never been there.
He was at West Arlington for a long period of time,
Vermont town,
and then I think he moved to Stockbridge,
in Berkshire, Western Mass.
Is that?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful Western Mass. So, a beautiful part of Massachusetts.
Well, I was thinking today, get off sports for a bit. Here I am lifelong resident of Franklin County. I can look you straight in the eye, and I'm sure you've done it. I have never been up to Fairfield, to the Chester A. Arthur birthplace.
Yes, it's not going to jump out at you, but yeah, it might be worth a visit.
No.
Of course, disputed, right? I mean, our guy, Chester Arthur, and of course,
Massachusetts.
The other.
Was it Arthur, a governor from Massachusetts?
Calvin Coolidge was governor of Mass. Of course, his big claim to fame, which kind of got his name out there nationwide, when he blocked the Boston police strike, which you may be somewhat familiar.
No.
Boston police were going to go on strike, and Governor Cal said, "No, you're not going to do that."
No. Chester Arthur was a political crony. My history from New York State. He was born in Fairfield, right, but all his political.
We might even add allegedly born in Fairfield. There are more than a few folks who say, actually, I think he was born north of the border. Actually,
really?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
As in Canada.
Oh, sure.
I never heard that. Okay.
I mean, some folks will claim that. I mean, there seems to be some legitimate doubt about exactly where he was born.
And
you're right. He basically climbed the political ladder, I think, in New York City. Silent Cal became governor of
Plymouth. Is he from Plymouth?
And in fact, we went there. Jennifer and Ian we had a great visit there. And Dave Handy, I think, has been there too. Plymouth Notch in Vermont. Beautiful, beautiful place.
Where's
just
that
down
near?
In the heart of the Green Mountains, just down kind of south central Vermont. Like Woodstock's not too far away, but a beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
That's worth a visit. I think you'd really appreciate it. Of course, his father, he happened to be back in Vermont. He's VP, and his father actually swore him in when the president went down. Was it candlelight at 2 a.m.?
McKinley? Did he take over from McKinley?
That's embarrassing. God, how can I not be clear on that?
I'm trying to remember. Was it William McKinley? Was he in Buffalo?
Right, he was.
Was he in Buffalo and shot by a political dissident by the name of Charles Couteau?
Boy, I can't confirm the shooting, but geez, maybe. But that's pathetic. I'm not more solid on that. I'm spacing out on that. But anyway, his father did swear him in, which actually makes me think of Teddy Roosevelt, who I think may have been in Isle La Motte, had taken a cruise up Lake Champlain when he got the word that his president had been shot or at least shot or something. But
was he Garfield?
Where's Dave? I don't want to go there. It's too embarrassing. Where's Dave Handy when we need him? Dave would be saying, geez, you guys, that's pathetic.
Our engineer, Alan Cunningham, if you could tell us who shot Garfield and who shot McKinley.
I'm not going near who shot them. I'm not feeling bad about who shot them, but anyway, let's get back.
Okay.
What about the Red Sox basically dumping the team, Hawk? Are they getting anything? I love it when I hear they're getting a player to be named or a draft pick. Has anybody, the two guys, the main trade was Philadelphia. That was one of the bigger trades. And you said Pivetta, is that one of the pitchers?
Nick Pivetta.
Nick Pivetta.
I think originally he was with the Nationals.
Okay, but the younger guy sounded like the younger guy. Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? They always talk about.
But they've got nobody of any note.
Well, I can tell you,
right?
Both pitchers that went to Philly, both their ERAs were up around 9. Their whips were over 2. They've been terrible.
Is that for Philly?
Yeah.
Because Brandon Workman actually pitched well in the last season for the Red Sox. He had a very good year.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you,
I'm happy to see him back.
And
are they getting anything for unloading these guys?
Nothing really. No.
And no reason to expect they'd get anything.
Listen, the Red Sox are being smart.
Boy, they're really going back to the bottom. It looks like
after this week,
I may be Xander hang. Do they keep Devers?
I heard today that Bogarts, and I would find this hard to believe, could be a trade chip.
Really?
But I went,
and I heard Christian Vasquez, who's a pretty decent catcher.
Yeah. Now,
wow.
I may be in your ballpark here in a few days because the Nats have been terrible. Let me just tell you about pitching here.
Of course, the Nats, Fenway Park, Hawk, in a normal year, I suspect we might have been there for a game or two.
We would have been down to Fenway this week, and there's no question.
I'm sure Sister Sally would have welcomed us to the Hingham House.
30 teams pitching. The top team ERA No surprise, L.A. Dodgers, 2.77 team ERA. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Second is the Cleveland Indians, 2.81. What do they have in common? They're both in first place.
Well, Cleveland just unloaded Mr. Kluber, right? Didn't they just trade him?
Not Corey. It was Mike Klinger or something.
Oh, sorry, but one of their good pitchers.
Yeah. Now the Red Sox, Duke, not picking on them, just stating a fact.
6?
The 30th ranked in pitching with a 6.16 ERA. The next team closest to them is Colorado, which is always on the bottom of the high thin air, 5.52. That's nearly 3/4 of a run difference. Now, the season will be over literally 25 days. Good for the Red Sox. And, we can connect the dots with the Jacksonville Jags. They just got rid of their great defensive end, traded them to the Vikings on Monday.
Really? But again, my question, so the Red Sox, who knows?
Who knows?
Obviously, you never know.
Nothing that
but not one noteworthy even prospect name here, or who knows?
Right. Now, as of today, the Red Sox are a half game behind the Pittsburgh Pirates for the worst record.
Wow.
Okay. Pittsburgh, then you got the Angels and the Sox, both a half game out.
Yeah.
And my beloved world
your
champion.
guys aren't too far away, huh?
World champion Washington Nationals are 2 games out.
Really?
Of the worst record.
Is this stunning? I mean, is this stunning that the Nats have been this bad?
I didn't expect.
They lost Strasburg.
Anthony Rendon signing with the Angels.
But you weren't expecting. You would have thought. I mean, a better than 500 team, wouldn't you?
Baseball, rightly so, opened up the playoffs a bit more this year. Good for them. 8 teams. Now, if you would talk to me,
8 out of 15.
8 out of 15. You would say not Hawk. The Nats aren't as good as the World Championship last year, but you have to concede they're going to make the playoffs. And I would say something with Duke, don't be an idiot. Of course they're going to be in the playoffs. Well, their pitching staff, okay, keep in mind, their pitching staff has been one of the best pitching staffs over the last 10 years. Okay, right now, Duke, out of 30 teams, the Nats is 25th in pitching, where they're usually a top 5. Team ERA of 5.11. Terrible. So, and we've got Atlanta this weekend. If we don't make hay this weekend, I will sit on these airwaves and say tank. Capital T, capital A, capital N, capital K, tank, because I want a good
What do you
draft.
pick up, like Washington Post Nats stories? Do you routinely read them every day?
The Post was wild, but I have a bunch of sites.
So what are they? I mean, are they kind of freaked out, or do they not care, or weird year? Who cares?
Weird year. Who cares? If it was going to happen any year, they picked a perfect year. And again, 25 days, 3.5 weeks, baseball season.
Are you happy? I was
done.
unhappy. Even when it looks like they're going to make the season, I'm glad they haven't had more problems than they've had. I still thought it was a mistake to have a 60-game season. But are you happy you're getting what you're getting?
Like you can't
Better
live.
than nothing
We
for
can't
you, huh?
all jump in our closets, lock the door. And Kirk Cousins is taking a lot of heat, but I agree with him. Kirk Cousins, starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings today, talked about the COVID, and he said, hey, if I die, I die. And that's the way I look at life, okay? If I die, I die. And this is coming from a guy that's rolled 2 vehicles on Interstate 89 with no seatbelt on both times, okay?
I'm almost afraid to ask. It seems like you said at time. Are you wearing a seatbelt these days?
Well, more often than I have in the past. Okay, but
Painful
all I can tell you, and I'm not a theologian, but I'm convinced that the day that you're born is you already have a prescribed date of death. Now, I have known
You don't
people,
happen to know what that is.
I wish I did know, because if I knew it was sooner than later, I would really live it up. Now, I have known guys. Well, let's go back to one of the great Franklin County athletes in the last half century, Jimmy Basha.
Wow.
All right, didn't have an ounce of fat on him, fit as a fiddle, all-round super great guy. He gets what, brain cancer? I can't remember exactly.
I think brain cancer.
I knew another guy, was in his 40s, loved to hike, do all this stuff. He got pancreatic cancer, and as I always tell people, hate to be sour here, but you get pancreatic cancer kiss of death. Because if you said to me, Hawk, got bad news for you. I've got pancreatic cancer. I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to say, dude, Don't bother. Now, people ask me, we talked about this, how is Alex Trebek, about 80 years of age now, been able to live like a year and a half with this? Well, Alex Trebek's net worth is about $75 million.
Doesn't hurt.
And I can assure you, Mr. Alex Trebek will get much better medical care than you ever.
Speaking of just making me think about old friend Jimmy Basha, what a great guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see him that much, but he'd always, and I'm sure he was always busy, he'd always say, hey, how are your Blue Devils doing?
Yep.
He'd always have time, but I just want to note, boy, his death, there are not too many deaths that have impacted beneficially so many people with the catastrophic illness fund, which I think, I don't know the numbers obviously, but I got to think we're talking, I'd like to think maybe a few mil, but again, I'm sure there are tons of people in Franklin and Grand Isle counties who have been helped big time, courtesy of that fund, and just tons of people who just love that guy. Just a tremendous guy.
My oldest brother, Bart, graduated with him in 73, played basketball with him all 4 years, so they were really tight. But I'll give another name, and God bless him. Our left fielder in our softball team, Dum Albert Curite. Okay, and he used to deliver the newspaper to us when he was a little kid. Quiet guy. Good shape, played all kinds of sport. He died 4 or 5 years ago in April of a heart attack.
Which brings to mind, of course, Mr. Paul Legacy, talking about doing the sports show. Low 50s.
We started the show.
His parents, I think, lived or living into their 90s.
We started the show in 2003, and he's the same age as I am, I believe. He died at the age of 51. And his home up in Cambridge, I think.
I think
just doing nothing with his lady friend in the living room. Stood up and just keeled over with a massive heart attack. 51, as you mentioned, both his parents lived into their 90s. And I said to him, I think on the airways, I said, holy crap, how lucky can you be knowing that you probably got another 40 years of living to go, if genetics has anything to do with this. So...
obviously.
All I know,
I think your attitude, hey, I'm going to live life pretty full until I'm not around anymore. It's probably not a bad way to go.
Because all I know is I don't know. So that's it. Boy, we're running quickly, and I didn't watch golf. One quick thing: Brock Holt is starting tonight for my Nats.
And talk about being bitter base. Red Sox. Boy, so how much? I think Milwaukee picked him up.
Milwaukee signed him 1 year, $3.5 million.
Boy, so Red Sox, he couldn't come up with $3.5 million.
He was a good.
Could play everywhere. He's had a terrible season, but he hasn't played.
He went
much.
3 for 30 with a Brew Crew. They released him. The Nats picked him up, and he's starting at third base.
But talk about a character, good guy.
Absolutely.
Who was their only All-Star a few years ago. So I'm bitter about the Red Sox. Thanks, Red Sox. You couldn't come up with $3 million for this guy.
So Duke. I was
golfing.
golfing.
We're down to
somebody. I don't know if it was our good friend Kevin McCahey. Was it John Rahm? They went to a play. I didn't see this. I knew nothing of it.
I saw a lot of it, but of course I was playing golf. As soon as I got into my car, I flipped on the PGA channel. So what do I get? It went into an extra hole because Dustin DJ made a great putt, which I never did see. 25, 30-footer, I think, on 18. He needed that to get into a playoff. Rahm would have won in regulation. So here we are on the first playoff hole, and I'm listening right after our golf. And I think they went back to 18, par 4. And DJ was in much better shape. I think another 25 feet on the green. Rahm's maybe up on an upper tier or something. So I got this on radio, right? The first line was, it looks like a 50 to 60 footer for John Rahm. Boy, he'll just be praying he can get down in 2 and probably continue the playoff. So Rahm goes first. And of course, I later saw this. Unreal. 66-foot putt, knocks it in. So DJ's got a putt to tie and didn't make it, having made a great putt himself on the earlier hole.
Right.
So,
and DJ didn't falter on Sunday. He shot 67, but John Rahm shot a 64.
Right. The players did much better. This course was wicked tough. I think first 2 rounds, the average score, I think, was like a 7-2 over par or so.
Well,
this is U.S. Open.
Put this in context with the tournament last week. This past weekend, only 5 players broke par.
Right.
And last
DJ
week,
having won with a -30 the week before.
And you told me, I
Harris
think on
English coming in second at -19.
first day, and I think you said, "Wow, this is refreshing to see these
sure,
guys
this
battle."
is U.S. Open tough.
Yeah.
Oh, this course was wicked tough.
And the official world golf ranking, Dustin Johnson remains at number 1.
And in fact, Rahm's number 2.
Rahm's number 2.
They'll be playing together again Friday. And for the record, Hawk, it's Friday through Monday because they did what they used to do
Labor Day.
when the tourney was in Boston as part of the FedEx stock. Right. So it's a Friday start through Labor Day.
Justin Thomas
Top 30.
is 3rd,
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy 4th, and I'll let number 5, Colin
Morikawa.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh, what was in there? Webb Simpson's top 10. You got the top 10 there? Have you got any more? Webb Simpson. And it's funny. Guess who took last week off?
Webb Simpson.
You think these guys would be, and he got away with it. He's top 10, right? Webb Simpson, number 6. Brooks Koepka, number 7. Bryson DeChambeau, 8. Patrick Reed, 9. Of course, Koepka's out. He's out of it with his injury.
Correct.
Right. So Patrick, Captain America, number 9. Adam Scott, 10. Xander Schauffele, a guy I like a lot, number 11. I'll do 15. 12, Patrick Cantlay. Not a lot of emotion out of the guy, but a very good golfer. 13, Daniel Berger, who's played very well. Tony Finau, who always seems to be knocking on the door. And Tyrrell Hatton, 15. Tommy Fleetwood, 16. I'll stop there.
Yep.
But top 30, this should be fun.
Yeah.
And again, unlike a couple of years ago when Tiger won East Lake, won the last round, but Justin Rose had more points. So Justin got the big paycheck. This year, if you win Monday, you get the 15 mil.
Yeah, they changed the scoring
They
system.
changed it a little bit, so there wouldn't be that kind of discrepancy.
Duke, we're done the show. I think we've pretty much hit the full gambit of sports, but it's just not strange to me. Baseball, how little time we gave, and pretty much everybody I talked to
deserves it, especially with our teams doing pathetically.
I don't think anyone's watching. So that is it. We're out of here. That concludes this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For engineer Richie Cunningham, for my good pal, Mr. Duke Forrest, I am the Nighthawk. Until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. See you later.
See ya.